Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Cricket Caviar. So today we are going to recap cricket, cricket all over the world on how things have been going on the last 2 3 weeks, from England's domination to West Indies losing out to Australia playing some not very good cricket right now. So yeah, let's start with the recently concluded South Africa's tour of West Indies.
Hi Kunal. So yeah, you can see the picture in my background. Anrich Nokia, South African Cricketer of the Year, makes an immediate impact in the West Indies. First Test match, and Nokia makes sure that West Indies were bowled out under 100, picks up 4 wickets, and yeah, it was very surprising for me that South Africa defeated West Indies 2-0 in their own backyard. When we still see that their team is still building up after the loss of Hashim Amla, du Plessis, and big players like that.
It was not a
Yeah.
surprise for me at all. I was expecting West Indies not to play so well. And to be honest, South Africa does have a really good bowling lineup. They have some really good batsmen. However, West Indies just does not look like a test team to me. So yeah, I don't think there were any surprises
Actually,
over there.
हाँ, वेस्ट इंडीज का हमको लगा कि दे आर ऑन अ लर्निंग कर्व एंड ऐसा
Still a
लग रहा
very
था कि दे आर
young
राइजिंग.
team, right? मतलब बहुत young और नई team है फिर भी. And South Africa
Yeah,
is
but
at least a pretty experienced team from that aspect.
but yeah, the way they defeated Bangladesh in Bangladesh, West Indies, so and they had defeated England in England also one test. तो ऐसा लग रहा था कि वेस्ट इंडीज इज राइजिंग नाउ, especially with Kyle Mayers and Nkrumah Bonner, batsmen like these. We thought ki West Indies is rising, even in New Zealand they gave a good fight in one test match to New Zealand. तो ऐसा लग रहा था कि वेस्ट इंडीज क्रिकेट इज गोइंग अप, especially test cricket, and especially Rakeem Cornwall under Craig Brathwaite's captaincy. I felt Jason Holder, who is now established himself as a great all-rounder. So we felt that West Indies cricket was going up. Lekin they came to a crashing defeat to South Africa, that too at home. And Anrich Nokia was just superb. And even Keshav Maharaj, the way he took that hat trick, that was a special moment. The way Vian Mulder caught, so
Yeah.
that was
And
that.
and how South Africa started with De Kock scoring a century, right? He was so happy when he completed that century.
Yeah, we saw the old Quinton de Kock back in this series. Yeah, that was a big.
I think that was down to Quinton de Kock losing his captaincy, because as a captain he was really poor in South Africa. I mean, South Africa fought well in Pakistan, but Quinton de Kock did not contribute at all. And when the captaincy was taken away from him and given to Dean Elgar, we saw the old Quinton de Kock back. And in fact, South Africa was struggling when Quinton de Kock played that aggressive knock of 100. I think that was superb batting. Yeah. And more surprising was the T20 series in which South Africa managed to beat West Indies 3-2. And guys, remember, West Indies had the full strength team. Like they had Gale, they had Evan Lewis, they had Simmons, they had Pollard, they had Russell,
Bravo, everyone.
Yeah, Hetmeyer, yeah, Bravo.
Even except Sunil Narine, yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Sunil Narine is anyway not that effective right now.
I think they have Fabian Allen, who's pretty good.
And I think Pollard even gave a statement that we'll play Sunil Narine when he's ready or something like that. I don't think it's a part of their T20 plans for UAE now.
Yeah. Anyways, one more point about the test series. We noticed two interesting things. A happy ex-captain Quinton de Kock and unhappy Jason Holder, because he did give a controversial statement just before the first test that he was a bit upset that he was not given the captaincy back. Because if you recall, the Brathwaite was selected as the captain only for the Bangladesh tour, where some of the players said that they do not want to participate. And coming back to West Indies losing, I think you must have often noticed their ex-cricketers ranting during the commentary about how their younger generation is not serious about the test cricket and they don't want to continue the legacy that West Indies had as a test team. And it kind of comes out true after watching this series, because you do see West Indies batsmen not only getting out to good balls, but also playing an extra shot all the time, and never really look to build partnership, to do running between the wickets. They're always looking in T20 mode. So that rant is kind of,
especially batsmen like there was big expectation from Shai Hope, who was coming back to the test team, and Jermaine Blackwood also is a disappointment. Like we always expect him to score runs, but he's always looking for escape shots rather than building up innings. So overall, very disappointing from West Indies, and even the Roston Chase comeback also could not save the West Indies. I think South Africa bowling was just too good. They had a very well balanced attack. Superb from South Africa.
And I forgot what the ground was, but this is historically known as good pace ground, and just the South Africa definitely beating West Indies by pace. We also saw that.
Yeah, and in general, the team does not look consistent to me. I mean, you guys were saying they're playing well. They won a test match in England. They won in.
They are not consistent.
But the team it does not look like a solid test match team. Even if you look at South Africa, they have some really good players who know how to play tough test cricket, but you just don't see that in this team.
Yeah,
South Africa. See, even in the rebuilding phase, they have experienced players. So that experience matters a lot in test cricket. Someone like Dean Elgar, who is playing since last 6-7 years, consistently scoring runs, and Aiden Markram has been given a go for last 3-4 years. So
I think he's a good player now. I have very high hopes from Aiden Markram now. He's going to play some really good cricket for the next 2, 3, 4 years at least. And I really think they should play him in the T20 team as well. It's good to have one batsman who's solid, does not score at a very fast pace, but I think he deserves a spot in their T20 team.
You're actually right. I have occasionally seen some Grand Slam T20 tournament matches, and Aiden Markram is a really good hitter. So I get surprised when he's not consistently.
But he's not a natural hitter like that, right? He's not someone who naturally scores at a fast pace.
Yeah, he's a solid cricketer, not a stylish slogger or something like that. And you have South Africa did a very good decision of backing Rassie van der Dusen in the test team. See, especially he came from the T20 background, and he's quite old also. And they've backed him now in the absence of AB de Villiers. He's basically taken the AB de Villiers position, and he's doing quite well in all the 3 formats. He's a big plus, Rassie van der Dusen. And David Miller, the experienced pro, he's again back to winning matches for South Africa. So,
but
T20 series was awesome.
He plays 1 odd innings in 5 match series, so he should be more consistent.
Yeah, but that is a match-winning innings. Whenever he plays, that is a match-winning innings. So he's a big impact player.
I remember in Pakistan, South Africa were like 60 for 6, and he still won the match. But yeah, hats off to Kunal. Like only he could see South Africa team beating West Indies in the T20s. Like especially after the first match, I remember West Indies chased down the total in like 15 overs, that 160 total. But South Africa still managed to pull back things, and I think after the series was 2-2, there was the one-sided final that South Africa won. So
very disappointing from West Indies that day.
Yeah, very disappointing.
On the final match.
Yeah, and even Shamsi is bowling really well. They have Keshav Maharaj as well. So now I feel South Africa will do well in the UAE series as well. They have good hitters, they have good fast bowlers, they have a really good spinner as well. I think they will be fighting really hard.
Lan Mulder, George Linde, and Fefluk Wayo, they have really good all-rounders.
They have a balance.
And we need to talk about Tabraiz Shamsi. Like he considered at economy rate of 4. Like he had spells of 4 overs 15 runs, 4 overs 13 runs, 4 overs 17 runs. Like that was
against
just
a hard-hitting West Indies batting lineup.
Yeah, against the full-fledged hard-hitting West Indians, powerful West Indians, and a spinner bowling like that, it's just amazing. And in the last match, like in the decider, Hitmyer and Pollard, they were actually playing defensive shots to Shamsi, which was like really surprising. He was so dominant and confident in his abilities, with his variations, Shamsi was just too good.
Over the years, I only like Shamsi because his celebrations are really stylish and funky.
Yeah,
But,
he pulled a magic trick once, like, and
He's an interesting
styling.
character.
Yeah. And then I remember when South Africa were playing home series, I think it was against Sri Lanka or something. They were playing some T20s. After that, they showed the stats that Shamsi is now the number one T20 bowler. So I was like, oh, I laughed at it. I was like, Shamsi really, like, I mean, Rashid Khan or anyone else is much better than him. But after watching this series, yeah, now I can see why Shamsi is number one T20 bowler. And we can also see why David Malan is so highly rated in T20.
Yeah, and Shamsi has been playing for a long time, right? I think he's maturing now. He's getting his peak now.
Yeah, I think he will get a big IPL contract next year. Shamsi,
I think
will definitely.
Good matches because the other guy has retired, right? The other spinner who plays for CSK, I forgot his name.
Imran Tahir.
Imran Tahir. Yeah, he retired long time back, right? It's been 2 years, I think.
He's only playing franchisee cricket now.
Yeah, he's okay.
Guys, so that was a big upset by South Africa, like winning both the series and especially the T20 series with, you know, the full strength West Indian lineup. That was just amazing. I can never imagine like South Africa winning with Gale, Russell, Pollard, you know, Simmons, Lewis, all in. Like that was amazing. From
it's a good reality check for West Indies if they were thinking that they can easily defend the title.
And you know, just to move ahead, you know, if you talk about the next series, which is I'll talk about Australia tour of West Indies first because we're talking about West Indies. We know West Indies is a good team because you can see Australia struggling against them clearly. Though this is not a, you know, first grade Australia team. Yeah, some major players have been rested, but Australia is struggling big
We are
time.
missing Marcus Stoinis, Steve Smith, and
Maxi is
Warner,
big for
Glenn Maxwell.
Warner.
I would
The opening
say
is still good.
are big. I'm not sure if Steve Smith fits into their 11. I'm not sure in the T20 11.
He does.
He does. Definitely.
You need one match.
Now you see the first T20. The first T20 just needed someone to play calmly and smartly. They were chasing 145 in the first T20, and they were 50 runs in 3 overs and 110 in 10 overs. So basically, they needed 35 runs in some 60 balls or something. I mean, that was just pathetic how they lost. The batsmen were just hitting, especially.
Yeah.
And I was so happy for Dan Christian. Finally, he got selected into the Australian team, and he played such a poor shot to get out. And there was a message from Dan Christian, Justin Langer. After every game-winning knock, Dan Christian used to message me that I'm the best all-rounder in Australia. But now, after the poor show in the last 2 T20s, I think we'll have to go with Marcus Stoinis only as the best.
And it's good to see Mitchell Marsh amongst the runs again. I mean, he's a different character. He performs, then he stops performing, he performs, gets injured. So, yeah, I mean, let's see till how long he continues in the Australian set.
Yeah, he's had a very weird career. Like Mitchell Marsh, full of ups and downs, injuries. He's had everything, and now
T20 player. If he's fit, he walks into my 11.
He's blossoming into a brilliant T20 player. Even in the New Zealand series, he played well.
Maybe he should just stick to T20s or just T20 one days, and just play less cricket for a longer career.
When he plays with a lot of intensity. So I still see he can play in all the 3 formats. But if he wants to play just few formats based on his fitness, we have seen he can just stick to T20s.
Yeah, but then again, this is not a full Australia lineup. Sometimes I feel even if they had Pat Cummins, they would have chased down the total because Pat Cummins knows how to bat. But they have been really pathetic. Aussies have been pathetic.
And Josh Hazelwood has been so good in in the T20s also. I mean, he always typecast him as a
CSK also, right? I mean, he played well for CSK also.
Yeah, he played for CSK, but he wasn't that great for CSK.
I remember Josh Hazelwood was very upset when he was left out of the 2019 World Cup squad. Like the selectors told him they don't see him as a limited overs bowler, but he can give you those crucial big initial bowling, like very.
He's a good power play bowler. He bowls good length and good line. Like test match line, he bowls that line and troubles batsmen. So that is unique.
But West Indies
completely 3 ODIs and 3
second match completely blown away. And
3 ODIs and 3 T20s. What is your
5
prediction?
T20s. 5
5
T20s.
T20s and three ODIs, I guess. So, what is your prediction for this series? Like going ahead.
My prediction is West Indies winning 5-4-1. I don't think Aussies will be able to win more than one T20. But yeah, Aussies should make a comeback in the ODIs and they should win the ODI series. But then again, they don't have a full team, right? And without Steven Smith, they'll at least have Labuschagne back, right? I mean, if they just have Labuschagne, I think they can win the one-day series.
Yeah, I agree with your predictions. Yeah, 4-1 and 2-1 to Australia, the one days. West Indies should win 4-1 T20s.
Yeah, ODI series, I think we should see Australia, coming back with Aaron Finch and, he's a very good ODI player. He's not a good test player, neither a good T20 player, but he's a good ODI player. So,
Guys, another thing I noticed yesterday that like Dwayne Bravo and Abboud McCoy, they're like so difficult to play because of their slow ball variations. While Mitchell Starc in both the matches has been dispatched like 40 plus runs, 3 or 4 sixes in his bowling. Andre Russell, I think, already had 3 sixes of Mitchell Starc in 2 matches. And Mitchell Starc has been hit for 200-meter sixes already.
Even I was just watching this women's game, like India women's versus England women. And, this Poonam Yadav, leg spinner of Indian women cricket team, it's like watching cricket in slow motion. Like she is so slow. And, she was given the 19th over to bowl. And England women needed just 17 in the last 2 overs. And she just considered 3 runs. And she took a wicket also. So, slow bowling is difficult to get away with. It's not easy, especially if the grounds are big and, pitch is holding up. We saw in IPL also, like, spinners were brought in Chennai. Spinners were brought, someone like Shahbaz Ahmed or Rahul Chahar. When they were brought back in the death overs, they were very lethal.
Very difficult also.
Yeah, I think that in the first T20, I noticed that Australian batsmen were really struggling against Abboud McCoy because he was bowling at 100 km per hour. Like, it was very, very slow. Like, even Mitchell Marsh won't bowl slow balls that slow. So I guess that
Bravo is anyways master of slow death over bowling. So
do you remember yesterday why did they promote Bravo and he just plays an amazing innings? So he just showed that he's as good as with the bat.
And Bravo put his status as this was the first time actually he got a chance to play with Shimron Hetmyer. So Bravo had never batted with Shimron Hetmyer, and the first time they had a partnership, it was such a 100-run partnership in a T20 match. That's just amazing. So
yeah, I guess I don't know how this guy often gets like he's not selected. Shimron Hetmyer, he's just so talented, and I think he should play.
He's the most consistent player across franchises. See, Delhi, I don't even count it because they use him too low down the order. They use him like
very late. Very late.
But if you use him at number 3 or number 4, he's always going to be effective. If you see for Guyana Amazon Warriors, he has played so many match-winning knocks, and is brilliant for them. So Shimron Hetmyer makes West Indies team all the time.
Yeah.
Guys, we'll move to England versus Pakistan series now.
Yes, my favorite.
My favorite what? Which is the favorite team? I also Pakistan. Yeah. In ODIs as well.
Yeah, entertaining team, hands-on. It's most entertaining to watch Pakistan team matches.
Yeah. I think
I'm so shocked. I'm so shocked. I definitely expected Pakistan to roll over this England team with ease. And I have never heard, being a cricket enthusiast, like we never heard of the names who are playing for England.
Yeah, 5 debutants, right? In the first match, 5 debutants. Oh my God.
Parkinson and Carson and all these
Lewis
guys
Gregory.
are just...
Who are these guys?
No.
I can't believe Ben Stokes.
Gregory Lewis is still at least Big Bash. He plays Big Bash at least. Gregory Lewis.
Yeah. We have heard about Phil Salt, but we have not heard about most of them. I remember Ben Stokes coming to the toss and he's like, I forgot the name of the openers since the 11 changes. That was epic.
Yeah.
And first ODI, like it was shocking. Like Saqib Mahmood, he's such a find. He has taken Babar Azam's wicket 2 times. Who is the number 1 ODI ranked batsman? Yeah, and he's bowling. He picked 6 wickets in the series in 2 matches, and he looks so brilliant. Like his line and length is superb, and the other bowlers have also supported him well. spinners are also bowling well. Ben Stokes is, I guess he's not even bowling that much. So
not
he's
much
just
at
playing
all.
as a pure batsman. Yeah.
I was
So-
watching the match live yesterday, and the English commentators one of the commentators was suggesting that Saqib Mahmood should directly be drafted into Test series against. But of course the other commentator was like who would you play him for, because they already have like 5 or 6 amazing bowlers.
I'm not sure if you know
looks
the
like he could
England
be a good
setup
test
has.
bowler. I think he has a good county record. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I'm not
another
sure.
thing that the commentators were saying, that Ben Stokes is a natural captain. Like captaincy comes to him naturally, and he can be a leader, especially if Root's form is declining. He can be a good choice.
Well, he
you
already
guys
is the
agree?
vice captain, so yeah, I guess he can be.
So guys, first ODI, Pakistan bowled out for 141, and it was an easy chase for England. But the second ODI was quite interesting. Actually, there were different ups and downs of ODI cricket that we could see. First, England, they were 10 for 2 or something, and then there was a partnership between Phil Salt and James Vince, and then again Hassan Ali. He picked some wickets.
He ripped through the middle order. Yeah, he ripped through the middle order.
He destroyed the middle order of England.
Yeah,
and 160 for 7. And after that, we saw 2 unknown names, like completely unknown names.
Gregory and
taking Gregory and the other guy, Carson, I think.
Yeah.
Taking
Difficult to
England
remember
to
so many English
245.
cricketers.
Yeah, 245, and I never thought they will reach 245, but once they reach 245, I still felt it was a below par target. And Fakhar Zaman, he played such a weird innings. Like he was 10 of 45. I have never seen Fakhar Zaman play like that, 10 of 45, and he was so much under pressure from the English bowling while the wickets kept falling at the other end. And finally, he threw away his wicket. And if not for Saud Shakil, who played a brilliant 50 from Saud Shakil, he has been built up as a very good batsman by Pakistani pundits. So England, convincingly beating Pakistan, and I think the trend will continue because I don't see. I think the second string England is too talented for Pakistan in these conditions.
Yeah,
but it's sad to see. Pakistani team is also very talented. Like you saw Hassan Ali get a fifer, and also he hit 3 sixes back to back on Mark Parkinson's bowling. And like you said, Saud Shakil, very good batsman, very organized. But I see that he did not have that 5th gear in the batting, because there was Pakistan needed 77 in 11 overs. But Saud Shakil was struggling to hit big 4s or 6s, so that's where
I think he was playing the waiting game. The moment he went for the big hit, he got caught. So yeah,
he looked more like a test match player, or they can have a one-day player, because Pakistan has a problem of losing wickets in clusters. So he's a good addition, but yeah, I don't think he'll be in the T20 squad.
He picked up a wicket also. I think he's an all-rounder. So
yeah, every Indian team can have some batting all-rounders. Like we really have that problem of 6 or 7 bowlers.
Well, okay.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah.
So,
but do you think Pakistan can come back in the T20 side? In the T20 games?
Don't think so. I think
definitely, I've been disappointed.
I think England will also feel a better team because, and anyways, everyone is serious about T20 World Cup. So, no, this Pakistan team don't think they have a chance.
Yeah, and then I think Pakistan.
I mean, imagine them going against Butler. Butler, Morgan, Root, Bairstow, all these players now, Archer. So
yeah, 3-0.
Yeah, I'm most disappointed by Rizwan because he was showing signs of good consistency.
Yeah, he
felt like a very
really well before
player.
this in the last series. He was scoring consistent runs.
I feel it's Pakistan management problem. If Pakistan is 10 for 2, they should not send their last best batsman Rizwan at 10 for 2. He should be saved when team is like 100 for 4. Like I don't think he's a good new ball player. He's not used to playing in that role. So
okay, maybe.
Yeah, guys. So hope it will be a great series. Looking forward to that.
And Pakistan's next assignment is in West Indies, so we'll see more interesting T20 in the West Indies region. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the recap of the recent cricketing series. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and please keep following Cricket Caviar for more such cricketing discussions. Hope you're enjoying our discussions. So
Thank you, guys.
bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Stay safe.